Hey guys, I hope you're all well. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back doing one of my girl talk videos. These are some of my favourite videos to film. I love them and I love chatting to you guys, talking about different topics. Because it's the beginning of the year, I was like, what would make sense for me to do this time? And I thought about obviously the whole new year, new you sort of thing, and how there can be a lot of pressure on us to be a certain way, to do certain things, you know, to lose weight, to kind of come up with a whole new look or something. So I thought that pressures would be a good topic to start with this year. On Insta stories, I went on there, told you guys I'm doing one on pressures, and asked you to send me over anything that you've got that you'd want me to talk about in this video. And I had loads of replies. It was really hard to get it down to a few, so I tried to pick ones that a lot of people were saying, these keep clinging and it's really annoying. I tried to pick ones, oh that's driving me mad. 1 minute, let me take this one out. Questions that quite a few of you were asking all at once. It would just be what I would say to a friend who was, you know, having this problem or something. So yeah, I hope you guys like this. Right, let's start. Sorry if I'm a little bit sniffly, I'm just I'm just coming out of a cold. Also, if you hear random chopping noises outside, for some reason, I think someone's chopping wood or something outside. I don't know what's going on, it's annoying me because it's in really, chill out, Sam. It's in really random intervals. And I'm like, what are you doing? Now they stop. So the first one is being sociable all the time. I just love having me time. That's something that I so relate to. I think whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, I feel like we all need a bit of time to ourselves. Quite often with me as well, if there's something that's coming up, like a social event or something, or just meeting up with some people, sometimes I just won't feel like doing it. I never want people to feel like it's anything against them, because most of the time it's nothing to do with those people. It's just honestly like, I just feel like being in quiet for a while, being in my own little zone. The best thing to do is just try and communicate that to anyone that is making you feel that pressure. So if that's like parents, just like sitting down with them and just explaining that sometimes events and social things make you feel a bit overwhelmed, or you're really just not feeling it that day, and it's nothing to do with the people or not caring about people or not wanting to spend time with people. It's just that, you know, you've been at uni all week and you literally just want that Saturday to just sit on your own for a minute, you know, and read or whatever. Oh, nose is running. To me, that makes so much sense, but to people who are really extroverted, for example, it can be like, what? They don't understand, so I feel like you kind of have to explain it to them. So it can be really tricky if you come from a family of extroverts, or if maybe your partner in your relationship is really extroverted and just isn't used to that quiet time thing. I think maybe it might take a few times, but you just got to explain. Okay, next pressure. To always look appealing for the other sex, like we have to dress up for them rather than ourselves. This is a huge one for women. I feel like this is one, again, I feel like I say this a lot now, but when I was a bit younger, I focused on this so much. And especially when I'd get into new relationships, I feel like at the beginning, I worried so much about like what I was wearing. Like, do they think I look good in that? Do I look hot enough for them? Is this the style that they like? Ugh, it's such a waste of time, you know? Whoever you're with should like you for what you like wearing. And on the other hand, if you're single and you feel like you have to dress really sexy, like when you're going out and things to kind of get guys' attention or something, honestly, obviously it's nice to dress up and to wear like sexier clothes and to try and catch people's eye if you want to be doing that. But also a lot of the time, guys don't all find the same thing attractive. You don't necessarily have to wear like a bodycon dress or the tightest jeans in the world that you can't breathe in, you know. A lot of guys find being a bit more understated really sexy. You know, a lot of my overarching answers is going to be screw it. Like, screw the pressure, just do what you want to do. And it can be, I guess, easier said than done. At the end of the day, it's like the pressure's not really there. The people who are making you feel that way, like that's their own issue, you know, or a pressure that you're feeling is probably from societal pressures, things that we're taught to think that we have to be, you know. So a lot of the time it's all bollocks. Pressure, everyone asking my husband and I to have a baby. So I hear this one so much. It's something that I didn't actually have to deal with because we obviously had Indy and then we got married. So I can imagine though that is really annoying. So in society, the whole idea of that linear passage of finding someone, being girlfriend and boyfriend, getting married, having a baby, etc, etc. Everyone's so used to that way of life. I feel like our generation onwards, though, that is going to change. I feel like it's something that our parents' generation do a lot and kind of expect a lot more. Honestly, I kind of take it with a pinch of salt. I feel like a lot of people also have good intentions when they're asking that, in a way, because they see that as a way of your happiness, without shrugging it off all the time, but also without it turning it into an argument every time. I would just say kind of firmly, mum or dad or aunt or whatever, I'm not ready at the moment. It makes me feel uncomfortable that you're asking so often, and I feel really pressurized, so please just give me a bit of time. Or like, and when I feel like I'm getting a bit ready maybe to have a baby, I'll come and talk to you about it, but for now I just want to live my life, you know. That's something like I would say. I feel like that might be quite a cultural thing as well. Like some cultures probably push the next step and having kids maybe earlier than other cultures. A pressure to know what you want to do with the rest of your life when you're at uni. Oh my god, this needs to stop. Like, I was listening to Michelle Obama talk about this as well, and she was saying that she doesn't like when people ask kids what do you want to be when you grow up, like there's one thing and that's it forever. And it's so true. Like, I always changed what I thought I wanted to be when I was young, and then even you get like, I'm almost 30 now and I'm still like, oh, maybe I should start that. You don't have to just choose one thing and run with it. So when you're at uni, it's such a nice time actually, because even though you've chosen one route to go down, it doesn't mean you have to stay, you know, on that path. You can then get your degree, obviously have that under your belt, and then go and do whatever you want. So again, I feel like that's probably more of a parent pressure. I feel like they feel like they want the best for us. They want us to be secure and to go into one solid route. Don't feel pressured to know exactly what you want to be, because there's people that go down one route, go down it until they're like 40, 50 years old, and then are like, oh, actually, I don't want to do this. Life is a lot more open and more accessible to different things now than it was maybe like 50 years ago, especially with the online world as well. I feel like you can look into different avenues a lot easier than people used to be able to. Oh, this is the same thing. The pressure of having to know exactly what you want to do in life at a young age. Exactly the thing that I said. And by chopping and changing what you do, don't feel like that is gonna be embarrassing or is gonna upset people around you. Honestly, the most important thing is that you're getting up in the morning and you enjoy what you do. It sounds easy to say. That's one thing I've learned in my 20s. Like, you're still discovering yourself for a long, like, you're always discovering yourself, you know? So don't feel like you have to be one thing and that's it forever. And you don't have to choose at, like, when you're filling out your UCAS form, which is what I definitely felt like I had to choose, like, what I was going to be. How to deal with unnecessary / overwhelming pressure from yourself. I set my standards so high. I do as well, and I feel like this is something that's more difficult in our age of social media, because like for me personally, I set my standards really high and then I get really upset when I'm not like ticking all the boxes. So for me, for example, it's having really creative YouTube video ideas, creating really high quality content on Instagram, because that's what all the most popular pages have, like magazine worthy images, and I get really stressed out that I'm not producing that. And then I'm like, to have a huge friend group, appearing to be an amazing mother, and yeah, so I feel like social media, you know, we follow all these different accounts and we see the best of the best all the time, and that's all we see. We don't see the middle stages of things. We don't see the beginning stages of things. With our standards up at the showy level, it's quite dangerous. We're all flawed human beings. You don't have to set everything so high. Or if you do want to set a few standards for yourself, which is good to do, like it's good for motivation, then maybe do it in 1 or 2 things at a time. But don't feel like you have to be top standard in everything all the time. There's a quote I really like at the moment as well, because obviously there's this whole idea of how women can have it all, and it's something like, you can have it all, but not all at the same time. But I think that was really powerful because it makes me feel a lot calmer. I feel like I can do really good at some things and then do good at some of other aspects of my life at different times. It doesn't necessarily all have to be at the same. point. Okay, I like this one. To live the hoe life when you're single but also have a low body count. So much judgment. Okay, do you. Go out, do it. Men don't have to have this thing called a hoe stage, you know, their life is a hoe stage a lot of the time. Go out, explore, live your life, go and experiment and have fun, as long as you're being safe with it as well. I personally didn't have a huge time where I had a hoe phase. It's one or the other, I guess. Like, you can be worried about your body count and then not do anything just because you're worried about what people might think about you, or you can live your life, do what you want to do. I don't feel like it should be a judgment. The pressure to get married and have children. Women's functions aren't solely to bear kids. Maybe it depends more on your social circles, and again, this one maybe comes in a bit more culturally as well. How I grew up and the people around me grew up, there wasn't too much pressure to get married and to have kids, and I feel like my mum anyway didn't put too much pressure on me when I was young, and she wanted me to go out and kind of do what I wanted to do and explore, etc. I feel like it can come from parents a lot, because again, they're wanting to make sure that we're in a secure place in life, and maybe they feel like it's good for us because we won't be lost in life and it will be quite grounding. Obviously, I'm in that position. I'm married and I have a baby. For marriage, I feel like you definitely have to be ready for that, and it needs to be with the right person. And I feel like if you are pressured into that, it might force you into being in the wrong type of relationship or being with the wrong type of person for you. And again, having kids as well, I think I mentioned this earlier, it's so dangerous because having a child is such a huge responsibility. I feel like this pressure will get better as our generation gets older, because I feel like that is another thing where those were huge expectations from the past generations, whereas things are moving on a lot more these days. Okay, another pressure. I'm currently pregnant with my first baby and I'm scared of not being the perfect mum. So I'm guessing the pressure is the pressure to be a perfect mum. This, I feel like, is so... I feel like a lot of this comes from films, TV, social media as well. You know, I just feel like over the years we've watched a lot of parent figures. I mean, firstly, everyone is flawed. Everyone has flaws. No one is this perfect image and this perfect person. So even like if you know someone who you think is a perfect mum in your own life, they're definitely not perfect. And a lot of the time, you know, people just show their best bits and their best days. I think actually YouTube is quite a good place to go to look for more to make you feel a bit better about being a mum. I feel like there's a lot of mums on YouTube who do show you those bad days and what they're struggling with and the funny things about being a mum, etc. That's a good way that things have changed with that pressure. But then I guess you've got like the perfect sort of mum on Instagram and things. If you curate your feeds, whether that's YouTube, Instagram, or what you're watching and what you're taking in about perfection, it will help a lot. Like, I follow quite a few more realistic mums on Instagram, people that I can really relate to, that make me laugh, and it makes me feel a lot better about my parenting. What's she called? I think it's the Unmumsy Mum. There's so many out there. Mother Pucker as well, she's on YouTube, she has a podcast as well. Also, congratulations. I thought this was a good one. The pressure to be a feminist. The expectations can be a lot on yourself and relationships. This is such a good one. For one thing, like once you realise what feminism is, you want to stand for that as well as a woman, etc. It's kind of a lot to even take on and learn about yourself. I feel like I'm still learning all the time about what it is to be a feminist, and there's different waves of feminism, and so I've been trying to kind of teaching myself about that and like what is happening in the world at the moment. And then on the other hand, you've got the people around you who maybe don't understand it and who see that you have these views but maybe don't agree with them. So it is difficult. It's a difficult one to juggle. You kind of a lot of the time feel like you don't want to be this preachy feminist. Also, feminism, it's got this like horrible ring to it as well. You know, it's got a lot of negative connotations, and I feel like a lot of women feel like it will put guys off if you say that you're a feminist. They're like, ew. Because of social, I feel like I'm always mentioning social media, but it is a huge thing in our lives now. I feel like because of social media, men are more aware of what it is as well. Don't beat yourself up too much if you feel like you're not this perfect feminist figure. There's a podcast called The Guilty Feminist, based around feminism, but also it's admitting that they're not perfect. They're not the perfect feminist woman. A lot of the time with these things, the most effective thing you can do is to just talk about them with the people around you, and maybe open their eyes a bit more to how the world is as a woman or as a man, because it's not just about women. And also with your relationships as well, it can be difficult. I feel like easing it into people's psyche gradually can be a little bit easier, as opposed to like going mad at them and arguing like if they say one sexist thing. You know, you can go that way, or you can do it in a more diplomatic way. I found that it helps to just kind of calmly explain like what women might go through on a day-to-day basis, and things that are really normalized but are very sexist. And I feel like there's a Twitter account I follow called Everyday Sexism, and I found that really useful. Anyway, that's my tangent done. Okay, I've just seen this one. The pressure to be skinny in the fashion industry. Also the pressure to be the perfect wife. I'm thinking, are you in the fashion industry and that's why you feel the pressure to be skinny? Or do you mean the pressure from them? Oh God, that's one that I struggled with for years and years. I feel like once you realise that it is a business, and that's why they're selling so hard this skinny image and pressure, it takes the weight off a bit, because you just realise that it doesn't mean anything to try and unhealthily make yourself skinny. It's just for them to make money off of you. So it's kind of, you feel more empowered when you're like, screw you, I'm not going to conform to that. That's how I see it anyway. And I feel like after you've kind of hurt yourself to get that way, you're like, why would you do that to yourself? If you can not get to that point and take my word of advice, it really is an illusion. It's a whole illusion for them to just make money off of women, to belittle ourselves constantly, to not eat and to work out crazily in the gym to get to this unrealistic thing. So okay, I think this will be my last one, because I feel like a lot of them I've kind of covered actually. The pressure to be more social. I love to go shopping alone or have days without seeing anyone. So I know I touched on this before, and there's a really good book actually. I never finished reading it, but I liked the beginning. It was, I think it's called Quiet, and it talks about how like through the years it's been so normalized for everyone to be an extrovert, or to have to seem like they're an extrovert all the time. I was like, oh my God, yes. Like it's always seen as such a bad thing if you're like the quieter person or the more introverted person, and how like to do well in jobs you have to be like, you know, the first one to talk, and you have to always be putting yourself forward, and they kind of ignore the people who want to go away, take a bit of time to think about things and like problem solve, and then come back. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. It might help you as well if you feel a pressure to be like an extroverted person. What I've learned as well over the years, and about myself, is that there are times when I really, really crave being around people. And I know that as humans, we're very social beings. It's very natural for us to be around people. So I wouldn't 100% say like, no, never be social. I also don't feel like people should be pressured to be sociable all the time. Also, I love shopping on my own, so I totally relate to that. I just love having that time to look through a shop properly, to like go and try things on and just be in my own head. And I feel like I make better shopping decisions on my own. I also really like eating on my own, because you can go and like read a book and eat, just have this nice quiet time. So I feel like that's being a lot less stigmatized as well at the moment, going and like having lunch on your own and things like that, and it's not seen as embarrassing now, which is nice. Definitely don't feel pressurized to have to do everything with someone all the time. Like I go to a lot of events on my own as well, and a lot of people are like, oh, you're on your own, are you? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I hope this video has helped you guys feel a little bit less alone and a little less pressured. And I thought this would be a really good topic to touch on at this time of year, when a lot of people feel like they have to change when you don't really. And if there's any other topics that you want me to cover for Girl Talk, then leave them down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.